Hello everyone and welcome to NFL Girl UK Meets. I'm Liz Bandari and this is a show that brings you closer to the game you love. In this episode, I speak with Neil Reynolds, the presenter for NFL on Sky Sports. Neil's covered the NFL as a journalist and broadcaster since 1991 and writes for a variety of publications and websites. He's also the host of the Inside the Huddle podcast and the NFL UK live events. In our chat, Neil shares with me how his career started, the individuals who've made an impact, life as a Dolphins fan, and his thoughts on the future of NFL in the UK. Welcome to the show, Neil. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you for having me on. Yeah, good to chat with you, as always.
Yeah, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on today. I know you've been involved with the NFL for a long time, and I've got some great stories that I know our listeners would love to hear.
Well, that's a big setup. It's a big build-up.
It is, isn't it? Now, not many people get to be in their dream job, but you've been part of the NFL for many years now. When you were working at PR for the London Monarchs and NFL Europe, did you ever expect that you'd be where you are today?
I didn't, no. My background was as a writer, and that was kind of my passion, and I still really enjoy writing now, which is why I kind of do a season preview magazine every off-season. I still write regularly sort of columns. I write for the Super Bowl program. So writing's my passion, and I was working, as you say, I was working for NFL Europe, so I was full-time in their office promoting NFL Europe for 6 years in public relations, and probably would have I thought that was a dream job because it was working for the NFL, and would never have looked elsewhere. I think, if I'm honest, I'm a bit of a lifer. But they reorganised NFL Europe in 2006, and I got made redundant and was basically laid off, and then brought back on as a consultant, but with the mandate that I could go and do other stuff as well. So I'd written a book around that time. I spoke to somebody on Channel 5, and they said, why don't you come on at halftime and promote your book? Did that. Somebody at Sky saw me do that and said, oh, we'll give you a go on a Saturday night. It was the end of the 2006 season, like a Saturday overnight game, not many people watching. Ended up back on for the playoffs for them, and then did Sky kind of on and off for a bit, a couple of years at BBC Radio, and then from 2011 I've been in the Sky studio every Sunday. So no, had never thought about TV, had no TV experience, no training, anything like that, just a passion for the game really, and turned that into what it is now. Wow,
what a journey, Neil. Now, when you look back at that, is there one particular person who's had a huge impact on you professionally, and was there one piece of sage advice you were given that you'd want to pass on?
I'd say two, if I can do two. My editor at First Down newspaper, Keith Webster, was very influential in making sure I got stuff right. If I'm going to write something or say something, and also Keith had a rule that we were never allowed to go to press conferences unless we asked questions. He said otherwise you're just standing there watching. So that was one. From a broadcasting point of view, absolutely Kevin Cadle. Kev taught me to not. I think when I went to Sky, you're almost scared to make a mistake because you have limited opportunities. And so, I want to show you what I know. I want to show you this. I want to show you that. And I think Kev taught me not to take it too seriously and not to kind of worry if you make a mistake. Kev made plenty of them over his time, and we would laugh about them, and that's how I've got to that stage now. And doesn't mean you don't care about the output. It's just you're never going to do 8 hours of live TV without making a mistake. Just on the show last week, we went over to doing Around the NFL podcast here, and I know those guys inside out. And it was it was Dan Handless and it was Mark Sessler. And I went, it's Dan and Greg Rosenthal. And I was like, no, that's not Greg. What am I doing? And I just laughed about it, and I just, there's nothing you can really sort of do about it. You're just going to make mistakes. So that would be another one. And then I'm going to have three. I've really enjoyed working with Alistair Kirkwood. I think what he's done over the years with NFL UK has just been incredible. Of course, you're never going to please everyone,
No.
but that's every line of business that we have. So yeah, you asked for one, I gave you three. I cheated.
That's amazing. No, and do you know what? They're all really good examples, so I think that's really nice. Thanks for sharing those. Now, again, you've been really lucky to meet and then interview incredible people. Is there an interview that you'd say has been your favourite, like one that particularly sticks in your mind?
Yeah, probably because it was quite unique and I never thought it would happen. I did a one-on-one with Joe Montana at his house in San Francisco, which was normally I'm doing interviews in Sky or on location somewhere, but like in a team headquarters. But I contacted Joe's agent and said, I'm going to be in San Francisco. I'm going to be at the 49ers training camp. Any chance of a one-on-one? And they were like, yeah, but you wouldn't be able to do it down where the 49ers train. So can you come up to San Francisco? I was like, okay, that's absolutely fine. And then they're like, can you come to Joe's house? I was like, yeah, definitely. So ended up sort of having a bit of a tour of Joe Montana's apartment building and complex, and then we recorded the interview in his cinema room, which was pretty amazing. So yeah, that was one. I have been very lucky with people I've been able to spend time with. And I guess a lot of the time is spent not interviewing. So with the NFL UK live tours, it was being on tour buses with Brian Fitzpatrick, which was hilarious. You know, we had last year we had the tour bus was pretty nice. It was pretty swanky, and Fitz was sitting there bored, and he worked out while we were on like a 3 hour from, I don't know, Birmingham to Liverpool, wherever we were going. He'd worked out that he could sync up his phone to all the TV screens that were across the bus. And so then he then sat there finding photos of all of us. He's tapping away on his phone. The next thing, up pops this picture of the Spice Girls, but the faces are Fitz, me, Dallas Clark, Mohamed Sanu, and Jeff Reinbold. So we became the Spice Girls. And that popped up onto the screen to the amusement of everyone that's on the coach, all the NFL UK staff. And then he goes quiet again for like half an hour. Next thing, we're up and we're the poster of Coyote Ugly, and it was like all of us on there. So, it's just things like that where you get to spend kind of quality time with the players, and it's not necessarily talking about their careers. You're just sitting there listening and talking about football, and you just think you're going to have a quiet 5 minutes. And Dallas Clark, who's always acting like he's had too much sugar, challenges me to an arm wrestle. So, Dallas, I'm never going to beat you in an arm wrestle in a million years. Why are we doing this? Like, come on. I'll let you have 2 arms. I'm like, oh, for goodness sake. So you do it just so that he'll be quiet again for 5 minutes. So it's so lots of unique interactions with various guys, but you always feel very privileged along the way.
Yeah, definitely. Now, which Spice Girl were you?
I was Baby Spice.
Aw.
Yeah. It wasn't a good look. It's not an image you want in your head. So.
Maybe not, no. Is there anyone you wish you could have interviewed, or anyone you hope you'll get the chance to interview in the future?
Yes, so I think I would have liked to have interviewed Vince Lombardi if I was going to do anyone from history.
Yeah.
I think he would be fascinating to sort of hear from and see his approach to building a championship team year in and year out. His no-nonsense approach. I think he'd be quite good into you. I think he would tell you how he saw things, not just what you wanted to hear.
Yeah.
I think in the league now, it's hard because I've interviewed pretty much everyone. I'm trying to think of current superstars who I haven't interviewed. That'll annoy everyone who's listening to this. I'll be like, him. But I'm trying to think. I don't think there is a current one at the moment. I'm going to pass on the current one. I think we'll stick with Vince Lombardi. Yeah.
You're a lucky man with who you've been able to speak to. Now, am I right in thinking you used to play American football yourself?
I did, yeah. I played for 10 years in the British League. So I played for the Medway Mustangs in the old Coca-Cola League in the early 1990s. Then I played for the Invicta Eagles and the Kent Exiles I played for Kent Exiles for about 5 years at the end of my career. So I was a tight end, and I also did all the kicking and punting actually for the Eagles, I returned punts and kickoffs as well, so a little bit of everything. So yeah, loved it. Absolutely loved playing. Yeah, if I would have played longer. I was just covering a lot of NFL Europe, so I had to sort of stop because I was travelling so much. But really, really enjoyed it. So yes, I did play a bit.
Oh, good. And you hosted a really good passing clinic with Andrew Luck a couple of years ago. How surprised were you when he retired before the 2019 season? And do you think that we could start seeing more players cut short from the careers off their own bat?
Yeah, I wasn't. Sadly, I wasn't that surprised. So we were on a little family break in France, in the middle of nowhere. So I didn't really have. I kind of shut off for a week before the start of the season, and I was just sitting having a coffee and a croissant outside, and my son George, who's a big Colts fan, big Andrew Luck fan. Andrew's actually done some work with George, and because George plays now, and George came running out and said Andrew Luck's retired, and I was like, oh, I'm not surprised, because I knew, I was really sad. I genuinely was sad. I know people joke, but he is one of the nicest guys you'd ever wish to meet. He had no desire to be in the spotlight. He once said to me he was going to Spain, and I won't say the area of Spain, but he was going to Spain, and it was a tiny little fishing village where I had gone every year since I was 2 years old. And I was like, how spooky of going to this same place. And he said, please don't tell anyone about I'm going there. And I was like, trust me, I said, trust me, I won't. But please don't you tell anyone about that resort, because it's really quiet and I don't want anyone coming there and spoiling it. So we had a kind of trade-off. But anyway, so George comes out and tells me Andrew's retired. I turned to my wife, Julie, and I said straight away, I went, I'm going to have to be working at some point today. I just knew the phone was going to ring. And sure enough, Sky Sports News rang, and I had to do a piece with them while the kids were playing in the pool. And but then I rang Oliver Luck and spoke to Oliver, because I'm quite close with Oliver as well. And he basically just said Andrew had just taken too much of a beating. He couldn't live with the successive injuries, and it was getting him down away from the field. I'm not surprised that no one's seen or heard from Andrew since he retired. That's just I knew that would be the case. I used to cover that NFL Honors event in the night before Super Bowls. Yeah. And all the players walk up the red carpet, and then I'd watch the program later that night, and I'd see Andrew Luck in the audience. And I remember texting Oliver once saying, I didn't see Andrew walk in. He went, no, he went in the back entrance. I was like, yeah, that about sums him up. That was him. So yeah, not surprised, but I think he was missed. I think it was nice to see him have that big year before to come back and have a big year. But I do think the Colts missed him as well. The second part of your question, sorry, I didn't answer that. I do think more players will look at that. You might see more 8-year careers, 7 or 8 year careers. I think players to get a bit more savvy about health and stuff like that want to get to that second contract, make their money in the second contract. Then I think we'll see some players retire after 7-8 years.
Yeah, because I think they're sort of learning now that, the bodies can't keep forever, and I think they're starting to learn the priority is look after yourself first. Yeah, absolutely. You're one of a host of prominent UK-born fans of the Miami Dolphins, along with the likes of Nat Coombs and Henry Hodgson. Do you still live and breathe with the Dolphins fan, or are you more of a fan of the league as a whole these days?
So more of a fan of the league as a whole is what I've said for a number of years. And it's true. I quite often, so there was a few games earlier in the year where the Dolphins hadn't won a game. Yeah. And I can't remember who they were playing. They were leading in one game, and then they ended up losing field goals, the Dolphins did. And then they lost on a field goal in the last second. Yeah. And as the field goal went through, I just started laughing. I just thought it was funny that the Dolphins had kicked 7 field goals and lost. And a friend of mine who's a Dolphins fan was like, how can you do that if you're a Dolphins fan? And I was like, well, I don't, maybe I'm not then. If you think about, for me, it's about relationships I have with so many players now. Yeah. So, I'll root for Kirk Cousins when he's under pressure and trying to do well. I tend to watch, obviously, what's going on around the league. So if you gave me the chance to watch Deshaun Watson against Patrick Mahomes or watch Miami against the Jets. I'm going to watch Mahomes and Watson. You know, whereas some Dolphins fans will want to watch the Dolphins no matter what. So I think I'm more of a fan of the whole league, and that was what I would have said emphatically until week 17, and then Fitzmagic hit me all over again. And I'm watching that game against the Patriots. Maybe it's because it's the Patriots. I don't know. I was watching that game against the Patriots, and they were laughing at me in the studio because he threw the winning touchdown pass, and I literally jumped out of my seat. And luckily the camera's not on me, so we're on the game. So I jumped out of my seat and I'm fist pumping. They were like, "I thought you weren't that into the Dolphins anymore." And I was like, "Man, not really." And then messaging Fitz back later that night, and the first thing he said was, "Hey, and I did it against Mohamed Sanu." That's the first thing he said. So straight away he's thinking back to his time in the UK. But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
You are ultimately the face of NFL here in the UK, and you have been for a number of years. But as a consequence of that, you seem to be the first person that people will blame for anything NFL related that goes wrong. Tickets, for example, all over social media. How hard is it for you to kind of like let that kind of thing wash over?
It's sometimes. So I tell you, mostly it's fine, and I let it go, and it doesn't bother me. I think most social media stuff doesn't bother me. I've been doing this for so long, but then every now and then I'll get one where I just think, do you know what, that's stupid. What they've said there is stupid, and then I'll try not to, but then maybe every now and then I'll bite. So I'll give you an example of one where I didn't bite. Last week, I had a fan complaining to me and saying that we needed to contact the US to get the kickoff times changed because the games were starting too late in the UK.
I mean,
so I'm halfway through my reply, the reply started, "Is this a wind-up? Do you want me to get on the phone and get all kickoff times changed to the UK time?" And I was halfway through doing that, and Nick Pike from NFL UK, I was sat near him while I was tweeting it. He went, "Neil, you're better than that. You're better than that. Delete." And so I deleted it. But it's the sort of stuff you get.
Yeah.
It's the stuff you get. It's like, "Neil, why are you showing this game? Neil, why have you not put tickets on sale?" Or and you know, it comes with the territory. I'd be more worried if I didn't get that.
Yeah, true.
And I find it to be a bit of a kind of a bit of a honour that people see me as the person that could help them out with anything that they've got. But that isn't always the case. I can't always do that. It's funny with social media though, because I do get you know, some funny tweets every now and then. And for years and years, that's why all my stuff was always just tweeting about the NFL or tweeting about, you know, the game or players.
Yeah.
And a couple of the guys at NFL UK were like, "People want to know about you. You should put your family stuff on there." I was like, "I can't, because if then somebody says something about one of my kids, then I won't be able to not buy." But actually, you know what? Whenever I put anything family related on, obviously my wife went through breast cancer in the last year or so. Whenever I put anything family, you know, I put a picture of my daughter when she went to her prom, saying, you know, she's been through a lot in the last few months. I put stuff with George where he's been in the NFL Academy. Actually, whenever I put family stuff on, the response has been amazing and actually makes you realise that there are a lot more good people out there rather than nutters eating cheesy wotsits in their pants, tweeting at 3 a.m. So it's been good from that side of it.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's it. It's hard sometimes to kind of like get past that, but the majority of people are really nice. It's just like you say, the ones that are stupid.
So I'll just tell you, the ones that annoy me more, fan stuff doesn't really bother me. Fan stuff is fine. I've had a few over the years where there are people who have been like bloggers or journalists who clearly want to do what I'm doing, and then when they then throw insults, I think that's a bit unprofessional. That's the stuff I'm more likely to bite at than a regular fan. But most of it, I actually I actually, it's funny, you get to the stage, not don't care. I mean, not that you don't care, but you have to have a thick skin.
You do, definitely.
Thick skin, and I've got that, and I kind of, I think again it comes with confidence and with time. When I started out, and I've seen guys sit next to me in Sky, they'll say something and then they'll go straight on their Twitter feed to see what's been said about them. I think maybe I was like that when I first started. You so want that kind of validation, or
oh my god,
what do people think? Well, actually, you're better off just not knowing. So when I go on Sky and start the show, I pick up Twitter for stats or stuff like that, but I never go in my mentions because I haven't got time. And to be honest, it doesn't really matter what people say there. If you're on there for a reason, people want you to be on there, then you just use that as your confidence. So it's interesting, though.
It's a blessing and a curse all at the same time, isn't it?
Yes.
I've been meaning to ask you, and I hope you don't mind me bringing it up, but how is your wife now?
She is very good, thank you.
Good.
Yeah, and I do think it was, the support I had from the NFL community, fans. I think it was 2 or 3 days before Christmas last year when I announced that she'd had breast cancer and had an operation, and that she still had chemo and radiotherapy to go. And I think I must have had about 10,000 likes. It was incredible. But yeah, she's very good, thank you. She had all of her chemotherapy, all of her radiotherapy, and then the first week in January, she was back for the first of her annual mammograms, and everything was all clear. So
good. That's really good.
All good, and it was very, it's very, very moving, the support that I got from the NFL fans. It was really, really appreciated. Yeah,
definitely. We've all been thinking about it, so yeah, I'm glad to hear everything's well.
And the amount of people that ask me, it's incredible. It's lovely, It's like I'll do a NFL UK live, or I'll do I'll do an event around the games in London, tailgate or something like that. And actually, I think that's why it should be like that. It should be, people shouldn't see me as this unapproachable. I would hate that people saw me as someone unapproachable, because I'm actually, like I said, I wasn't a trained TV person.
Yeah.
As a fan, I was a journalist, and now I'm presenting the coverage. So I'm one of the people that watch me. I was one of them, So I want people to say, "How's your wife? How's your son doing? How's this?" It should be like that with a family. And I like the fact that I can go to an NFL UK live, walk out on stage an hour before, and come and see yourself and your husband, or go and see. There's a whole bunch of different fans around the country, and I know their faces, and I know who they are, and that's, I think actually I'm quite lucky to be able to have that in this country, whereas I wouldn't think somebody like a Rich Eisen could have that in America. So in a way, it's quite good that we're still a community here. Yeah,
definitely. Do you know what? I love that about, fans of NFL in the UK. Like, it does feel like a real and genuine community, and everyone does care about each other. So, it's really, really nice. I think we're really lucky.
Definitely. They only normally throw soft stuff at me, so they must like
it. And with NFL in the UK, like, how do you see its future? Like, what would you like to see happen?
I'd still like to see a franchise. I still think, I know there's some fans that don't want that. I still think that's the biggest way to kind of move it on, to sort of develop it to another level. But if that doesn't happen, I think we've got to the stage now with the new Tottenham Stadium where we'll see nothing less than 4 games per year, and I think we'll see more than that. We're at a very interesting time now with the new CBA, the collective bargaining agreement, being kind of finalised, and that will be worked out in the next year or so. I think we're going to either get more games here with a 17th regular season game in America, or we'll potentially have a franchise here. So, I think actually, I still think what we've got now, the 4 per year, I think that's our base level. I think we'll only go up from there, either one route or another. But, this is not as good as it gets as far as I'm concerned. I think this is kind of still just the beginning.
I think my only concern about a franchise in the UK is, like, if it fails, we would lose the NFL altogether. That's the biggest thing that scares me. I think it probably scares most fans as well.
Yeah, I hadn't really thought of that, actually. I think often the argument is, I've already got a team. I've already got a team. So, I suppose there's a bit more of a risk-reward thing with that. I don't know then if you could go back to other games.
Yeah.
It's an interesting point. I hadn't really thought of it. I still think I personally still think the risk is worth it. I think you could still go back. I think you could still go back to regular season games that are played off of that. I also think it would do really well. I really do. I think at some point you got to back yourself. You got to back yourself, and this market is really, really vibrant. So I still really confidently think that something could work here. You look at the team. It's only going to get worse for the Chargers in LA. Next year is going to be a bit of an embarrassment, I think. Jags, they had one of the biggest drop-offs in attendances this year in the NFL. It's about 8% down on the year before. So, there's a few candidates that will be looking at London, and I think the league will still be looking at it. Some of the in-stadium attendances this year dropped quite considerably. So, I think we're in the mix.
Yeah, definitely. And I think at the end of the day, we do get good game attendance and people love it. So if anything, for me, it's the opportunity to go see a team play. Like, that's the reason why I go and get the season tickets. So for me, it's worth it. And I love going to see it. So
yeah, absolutely.
Now, when it comes to the NFL season, your schedule is absolutely packed. So how do you juggle it all, and how do you maintain a work-life balance?
It's like serving my wife. See if I can conference call her in. She'll probably tell you that I don't.
Oh.
I try. I do try. So how it kind of goes on. Some days I get up. So I'll get home from Sky about 2:30 in the morning. I do a few things at NFL UK, and I include writing a couple of columns. So I get up at 7:30 on a Monday morning, go into NFL UK. I work in there Monday and Tuesday, doing bits of consulting, various bits and bobs, filming stuff. Wednesday I go to Sky. I live about an hour and a half from Sky. I go in there and record Inside the Huddle. We have a production meeting. Thursday I do more stuff with NFL UK. Friday I'm kind of at home, and I do sort of research notes on Friday afternoon, and then I do make sure I spend time with my wife on Friday daytime while the kids are at school. We'll go and have a coffee somewhere, go and do some shopping or whatever. Make sure I have a bit of time then. Saturday I dance runs all day. I'm driving the girls to dance runs, and then Sunday it's back in the studio. So, but I do try and make sure that I try and have that balance. So I'll give you a couple of examples, but it doesn't always help make you very rested. But this past weekend, Saturday I got up at about 5:30, drove my son, went and picked up a couple of his academy teammates, drove my son 3 hours down to Bristol for Great Britain training, sat in the car for the morning doing research and notes, watched him practice in the afternoon with the Great Britain team, drove 2 hours back to Heathrow, dropped him and his mates at a tube station, went straight to Sky, which is near Heathrow, presented from 9 until 5 in the morning, and got to sleep in my hotel about 5:30. So I did the full kind of 24 hours. Woke up at about 10:30, drove home an hour and a half, even though I was only 5 minutes from Sky. Drove home an hour and a half, had Sunday lunch with the family, and then drove back to Sky. This is Sunday show. So I'm always trying. Yeah, and also, but it's just trying to. You're right. You do have to have that balance somewhere. Yeah. September to February, where I pretty much work on or off at some point 7 days a week. There's always work at some point on every day. Yeah. And then from February to August, we have all our family holidays. I work about 3 days a week. I do a lot of writing from home. So it's kind of half the year on, half the year off. And we make it work. But you couldn't, I honestly couldn't do it without, Julie does so much stuff at home. It's not true. I know nothing. I don't know what kind of mortgage I've got. Maybe she'll go clean. Actually, do you know what? Maybe she'll clean me out one day. Maybe she'll be working with the accountant. I'll sit there one day going, well, I should have paid more attention. But I wouldn't be able to do all the other stuff that I did if she didn't handle all that side of it. So it's a definite partnership, that's for sure.
Yeah, she sounds like a star.
She is.
Now, fans of a particular vintage will remember the old days of Inside the Huddle with you and the incomparable Charles Dagnall. What was it like working with Daggers, and with him doing some commentary work for Sky Cricket last year, could the two of you finally be reunited to talk some ball in some capacity?
Oh, that's a tempter. I love Daggers. He's hilarious. He's so funny, and we also did a few tailgates at Wembley together as well, which were good. He makes me laugh. He just makes me laugh. We did one tailgate ahead of the Dallas-Jacksonville game, and for some reason we didn't have we normally have that little stage, or we have like a little field. For some reason we had a stage that had two great big bits going off the side, like you get in like pop concerts.
Yeah.
So they asked us to walk down either side, so that I'd be near the fans one side, he'd be near the fans the other. Oh my God. I can't remember exactly what he said, but he was basically singing his way down. So I hadn't really thought about reuniting, but I think that's a great idea. I love it. We still talk all the time. He's one of my Inside the Huddle wives, you see. I've got a few of them. So I had him, I had Darren Fletcher, did Inside the Huddle with Mike Carlson for a bit, and of course now Jeff. So it's been quite a lot over the years. But yeah, I like Daggers, and he's I think he's got a really good way of approaching sort of commentating on sport as well. He doesn't take it too seriously.
Well, listen, Neil, thank you. It's been incredible to hear your stories and see the human side of you. So thanks once again for joining the show.
It was my pleasure. Good luck with it. And anytime I get a return invite, I'll be there.
Thank you so much.